How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of Beared Down Uncut, the show where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. Today, in episode number 167 of Uncut, we're going to be talking a little bit about the future. It seems like the signature has been signed for Matt Nagy, and it's going to be tough to see him back in Chicago past 2021. We're going to be discussing three possible replacements for Nagy in Chicago in 2022, talking about what each of these guys could possibly bring to the Bears, more specifically their offense, and who could possibly be the next coach of this team. Before I introduce myself and my co-host, I would like to say we're trying to post the most comprehensive Bears coverage on the web this entire season. You're going to see more from us this week covering the Bears game this weekend against the Cardinals. Andy Dalton's going to get the start, so that's an interesting point as well. We're going to be putting out our pregame show tomorrow. If you want the most comprehensive Bears coverage on the web, no matter where you are listening right now, YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, do us a favor, drop a like, subscribe, follow, and we're going to be bringing you guys Bears coverage throughout the rest of the season heading into the offseason. I'm your host, Chris Malpe, today to talk about the coaching carousel in the NFL. I am joined with my co-host, Parth Shaw. Parth, how's it going, my man?
Didn't think that we'd be making it so soon, especially with the season still going on and stuff. But, Matt Nagy's definitely – his time here in Chicago could be coming to an end. We could have seen it come to an end last week before the Lions game, during the Lions game, after the Lions game. But reports weren't true. We're moving on. But at this point, we all know that his time here is numbered, and looks like he'll be out of Chicago at the end of the year. So this video – the perfect chance for us to introduce some, potential replacements.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take over the coaching position here in Chicago.
Yeah. Sorry for cutting you off. You're cutting out a little bit, but I think you're good. But I'm sure this isn't the first time or the last time we're going to be making a video like this. It's also not going to be exclusively the only one we're going to make like this. I'll tell you that for sure. We're obviously early in the process right now, and while we're seeing whirlwinds in the college football world with Brian Kelly and Lincoln Riley leaving, the Bears are probably going to have an opening soon. And we've got three potential candidates to talk about today that could be the next head coach in Chicago. Let's start with the Bills offensive coordinator, Brian Daboll. Look, there's not much to say about Daboll. I mean, his success has been well documented in the league. He was with the Patriots for quite some time, now with the Buffalo Bills under Sean McDermott. And they've had one of the more successful passing offenses in the league in the last couple of years. We know that Daboll is someone who's increased his usage of play action pass, run pass option, screen passes, and he uses those concepts this year on approximately 34% of all of Josh Allen or whoever's playing quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, cough, cough, Mitch Trubisky, all of their dropbacks. And, that rate has increased and dropped down in previous years, but we've seen Daboll be someone who's able to develop a quarterback into a winner, into an MVP candidate, into a quarterback that can lead his team into the playoffs. Obviously, the future of Chicago is centered around Justin Fields, and the Bills do have a lot of other weapons too. They're not one of the teams that is historically the best at running the ball, especially this year in 2021. But with that being said, they are still a team that has a high-flying passing offense with Stephon Diggs. If the Bears could bring in some more talent at wide receiver, continue to buff up their offensive line, I think Daboll could scheme up, a great offense for Justin Fields to build around. I think it's a hiring that would make sense, and Daboll's a name that's been flying around in NFL circles for quite some time. His opportunity is eventually going to come to be a head coach somewhere. He comes from a team that wins, a team that's going to be competing probably for an AFC championship and possibly a bid to the Super Bowl this year. So Brian Daboll is definitely a hiring that makes sense if you are Chicago. Taking a look at who played last night, it was the Dallas Cowboys. And next, I'm going to have Parth talk a little bit about a staff member of theirs. The Cowboys are leading the NFC East now, and I believe 8-4 this season. So it's been a pretty good year for them. Parth, talk to me a little bit about Kellen Moore, their offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he's someone who is only 33 years old. He's called the plays for the Dallas Cowboys for the last 3 years. Prior to becoming a coach, Moore was the quarterback was a quarterback in the National Football League for 6 seasons. He was a backup for the Dallas Cowboys and the Detroit Lions, and he also played college ball at Boise State, where he went 50-3 and was a Heisman Trophy finalist, I think, in 2010. So he definitely did have a pretty good pro career himself. But as a play caller, he's done even better, I feel like, especially in the NFL. Dak Prescott under him has been able to take off. He's come close to 5,000 passing yards, I think, each of the last 2 years. Season-ending injury definitely hurt Dak last year. But this year, their offense is tied second in the NFC with 30 points per game. They're now 8-4, like Chris said. And he's one of the young offensive minds that could get a chance this year at a head coaching job, whether that's in Chicago or somewhere else. I do expect him to find a job somewhere. There's a lot to like in his play calling tendencies. He's modernized his play calling book. Definitely includes a lot of plays that I think Justin Fields would be comfortable with. With the way Dak Prescott has been able to, I guess, get better in that system and develop. We've seen the growth of Dak. I think that could translate well here to Chicago, especially because Justin needs someone who wants to play to his strengths. And I feel like Kellen Moore is someone who would work with him, who's someone young, just like Justin, being 33 years old. He'd want to do what's best for him, especially because this would be Moore's first chance at a head coaching position. It would be an interesting move for sure. There's a lot of uncertainties behind him. Does Chicago want to bring in another, smart head coach who's all about this play calling and could be this new quarterback guru, or does Chicago want to head the way of bringing in a leadership guy? I don't know what way the GM or the ownership is thinking, but Kellen Moore, I think he's someone who brings a lot of really good at play calling and scheme-wise football to this team, and offensively, I think benefits Justin Fields' development, and that's the number one thing we're looking for at the end of the day. We want our quarterback to succeed, and we want to bring him pieces around him that can work, and I feel like Kellen Moore is someone who can bring in the best out of Justin Fields.
Yeah, it should be interesting, and it's a little bit tough to, I guess, really render and process what Moore's been able to do in Dallas just because he's worked with such a stacked offense. So taking a look at some of these other potential people that the Bears could bring in, like a Josh McDaniels, like a Byron Leftwich, like an Eric Bieniemy, it's going to be tough when it gets down to mitigating factors to determine who you potentially want to bring in if Chicago's bringing in an offensive-minded head coach. But we've seen Moore really put his foot to the gas for the Cowboys, turn it up for Dak Prescott, who's looking like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And once again, the Dallas Cowboys last night moving to 7-4 or 8-4, excuse me, atop that NFC East, and they're scoring almost 30 points per game. And they lead the league in total yards. So you got to give some credit to Moore. I think he'd definitely be someone great to bring in. And let's get into this last one. This is really an interesting one, especially coming off of a very thrumping Ohio State loss. We've got Ryan Day. He's the Ohio State head coach. There have been rumors that Day is looking to move to the NFL for quite some time now, and that when the opportunity is there to make the jump, he's someone who will do it. And who knows Justin Fields better than his former head coach from college? Obviously, there's a difference between college football and how professional football works, but we've seen some guys like Matt Rule come in and be able to have some success. And even though he's coming off of a loss, Ryan Day is definitely a candidate that could make sense for Chicago. Coming off of the loss a couple days ago to Michigan, that is going to kick Ohio State out of the college football playoff picture. Day is still 33-4. It's his only loss in the Big Ten ever. Was that loss to Michigan on Saturday. It's his only loss to the Big Ten ever. They've seen national championship appearances, Big Ten championships. And Justin Fields obviously played the best football of his career up until this point when he was playing under Day. 2019, his first year at Ohio State, he completed 238 passes for almost 3,300 yards. He threw 41 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. And then last year, before the Bears drafted him, 2,100 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. He also knows how to scheme him on the ground. Justin Fields has had over 800 rushing yards the last 2 years at Ohio State. So, bringing in a college coach might be a little bit more of a dice roll or a gamble, but you would assume that nobody in this league, maybe not even Matt Nagy, John DeFilippo, and Bill Lazor, know Justin Fields as well as Ryan Day does.
So, I agree. Yeah. I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but I was just going to say that Ryan Day knows Justin Fields better than anybody else, and that would obviously help his development out too. At the end of the day, it just matters what the Bears are looking for here. Are they sticking to I mean, do they want Fields to develop the way that they think that Ryan Day could do it, or some defensive-minded head coach and another head offensive coordinator? It just depends the direction the Bears want to go in. Personally, I would not mind seeing Day come to Chicago, and I wouldn't mind seeing Jim Harbaugh also come to Chicago. I feel like that's the thing that could happen. Not going to put it on the question. I know a lot of Bears fans have been tweeting about it. It's a lot of mixed emotions, obviously, and the coaching. It just feels weird. There's a lot of young candidates and there's a lot of old guys. There's no in the middle this year, I feel like.
Yeah, and it should be interesting to see how it plays out. Taking a college coach and putting him in the NFL might be a little bit more of a gamble, but once again, that familiarity with Fields might stick out to the Bears, and there's been some murmurs about it. And there will only continue to be as we move forward. So thank you guys so much for tuning into episode number 167 of Uncut. This is the first of many videos that I'm sure we're going to make about the offseason and how this team is going to progress moving forward. But if you want more comprehensive Bears coverage, do us a favor, drop a like, subscribe, follow, and we're going to be bringing you guys as much Bears content as we can for the rest of the regular season as well as during the offseason. If you want more content from us outside of the podcast, head to our website, beareddown.com. If you'd like to find the podcast on Instagram or Twitter, you can find it on both platforms at Beared Down. It's just a good way to see what's going on with us and make sure you keep in touch with all of our content. And finally, you can find the links to our personal social media pages down in the description. That is Instagram and Twitter for myself as well as Parth. It's another great way to interact with us, and you can see our thoughts on all things Bears, the National Football League, and the entirety of college and professional and Chicago sports. Parth Shaw, a lot going on right now. Seems like these last couple of days, this college football coaching carousel has dominated the entirety of sports talk. But a lot going on, too. The MLB lockout, and the Bulls are playing well, and championship weekend here in college football soon. There's a ton going on. But any last words before we sign off?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Like the lockout you said, which is a little frustrating as a big fan of the MLB. And then the Bulls with a great win last night against the Knicks. They pulled it out. It got a little close at the end, but they did what they did. And I'm excited to see the Big Ten championship and all the other games.
Go Hawkeyes, baby! Let's go. Parth, you're back in IU all year, and then Michigan decides to do something, and you jump back on your high school roots. I'm not going to blame you for it, but should be fun for that one this weekend.
I always cheer for them. Outside of IU, I was always cheering for them. But whenever they play IU,
you're a little quiet the last 2 years about your Michigan fandom, but it's okay.
There's a reason to be. I mean, I was just a new student at IU, their basketball team was good last year. I did talk about that a lot.
Well, the last time that the Iowa Hawkeyes played the Michigan Wolverines, I was at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City in 2016. Michigan was ranked number 2 in the country. They were looking to get into the college football playoff, and a lower-ranked Iowa beat them on a game-winning field goal and kicked them out. So we'll see if history can repeat itself this weekend. So many good college games. The Bears obviously coming up on Sunday should be an interesting weekend for sure. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of news coming as well, and we're going to keep covering everything that comes with the Bears for you guys. Pre-game show coming tomorrow, guys. It's been a pleasure to be your host. Once again, my name is Chris Malpe, and Bears fans, as always, do us a favor and stay safe and bear down. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.